A relationship with the right referral partner could be a game changer for any B2B company. So what if you could reverse engineer these relationships at a moment's notice? Start a podcast, invite potential referral partners to be guests on your show, and grow your referral network faster than ever. Learn more at sweetfishmedia.com.
You're listening to the B2B Growth Show, a podcast dedicated to helping B2B executives achieve explosive growth. Whether you're looking for techniques and strategies or tools and resources, you've come to the right place. I'm James Carberry.
And I'm Jonathan Green.
Let's get into the show. Welcome back to the B2B Growth Show. We are here today with Eric Berry. He is the CEO of TripleLift. Eric, how are you doing today?
Great. Thanks for having me on.
I'm excited to chat with you today, Eric. We're going to be talking a lot about the TripleLift growth story and some things that you're currently doing to operate the company. With you guys being an ad tech company and the landscape that's there, I think it'll be interesting for listeners to hear of how you're navigating those waters. But before we dive into that a bit, I'd love for you to explain to listeners, what is TripleLift? What are you guys all about up there?
Sure. So TripleLift, we're a 6.5-year-old company based in New York City with nearly 200 employees spread around 10 offices across the world. When we were started in Jan of 2012, we came out of AppNexus, which was a leading RTB or real-time bidding-based programmatic platform. And we really loved what they were doing on a valuing ad impressions on a per user, per impression basis to try to get the best outcomes for marketers across the web. And programmatic has evolved a lot, but really what we thought was the technology around valuing ad impressions was great, but the underlying thing that was being bought and sold, banner ads, was not great. We didn't think the format was particularly compelling, and we didn't think it was the wave of the future. And at that time, January of 2012, what we saw was this whole crop of new platforms that were coming out and getting amazing traction with consumers. So we saw Tumblr and Instagram and Pinterest were really blowing up. And, we thought it would be crazy for platforms like this or the rest of the web, which was going in a very similar direction, a very visual, consumer-focused direction, to monetize with banner ads. And so we sat back, and for the course of most of 2012, we really thought about, what are the different directions of consumer behavior? Where's consumer content consumption going? And how is it going to be monetized? And what are going to be the challenges of monetizing that in an effective fashion? And at the end of basically a full year of thinking about this problem, we realized that we needed to, and even in talking to publishers, what they were looking for was monetization solutions that were not forced down their throat, but that were actually conducive to the user experience that they're trying to create. So these great visual, highly interactive, but fast and not flashing or blinking user experiences. The challenge, of course, is how can you make that scalable if there's 1,000 different apps and sites and whatever that a marketer wants to buy on, and they all require different looks and feels, then it's going to be really tough for a marketer to buy, especially over programmatic pipes through a demand-side platform or DSP. And so that we thought was a fantastically interesting problem, and one that actually delivered a lot of value to the ecosystem. It delivered value to users because they would have better ad experiences, to publishers because they'd get better overall experiences where marketers could tell better stories without resorting to flashing or blinking. And so we created technology where the buy side, through the demand side platforms, could bid using a specification of assets, so an image, caption, click-through heading, instead of like a banner ad tag, and it would dynamically transform those assets to meet the unique look and feel or characteristics of the thousands of publishers that we worked with. And so in order to make that happen, we had to build all these in-house technologies like computer vision that would understand what people were bidding with and make it so that the marketers who use these assets had comfort that in all the different contexts where they'd be rendered based on the publisher look and feel, as opposed to, controlling their own ad tag, controlling their own banner ad, that everything would look great no matter what, and it would be rendered in real time in less than 100 milliseconds. And so that was a really hard challenge. We had to raise venture funding to scale that business to make it to a point where we could actually handle the billions of requests that an ad tech platform needs to handle. And so we did over the course of over 2013. We raised a few $1 million. We built it out, and we really embraced the mantra of creating effective, user-centric publisher monetization wherever users consume content. And over the next few years, we really scaled out the business from 2014 when we went live to last year, where we're nearly 200 people. The industry's really taken a great liking to programmatic native advertising, which is what we do. And in effect, the easiest way to think about it is, Facebook's ad experience is this integrated ad experience that's part of the fabric of the page, just like Instagram. And we create that same sort of experience for the rest of the web and the app ecosystem in a seamless way.
Love it. I love it. So I want to dive in, Eric, to more of the TripleLift story in terms of kind of the growth that you guys have experienced. You were number 163 on the Inc. 500 list this past year. You're on the Crain's Fast 50, coming in at number 12. You're on a Crain's Best Places to Work in New York City the last 3 years. So clearly, you guys are doing some incredible things in terms of growth while maintaining amazing culture in that growth. What were some of the elements, things that you guys did right along the way to get to where you guys are today?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. And I think, being an ad tech company and being a company in the sort of current venture environment in a competitive market like New York, there's a lot of things to think about. And so, New York that's where our HQ is and maybe 2/3 of our employees. And so, it's competitive in terms of salary, in terms of expectations around benefits and the like, which means it's expensive to hire people here. And if you're trying to run a profitable business, it makes it harder. And then there's the question of ad tech. And ad tech is, it's an interesting field because on the one hand, people spend money in ad tech. So unlike consumer businesses where you're sort of forced to get to critical scale before you can even begin to think about monetizing, people are happy to spend money. Like customers will work with you if you deliver real value. And we have case study after case study where we do deliver real value, but it meant that we had to be, on the flip side, ad tech is like not the most favored space for investors right now. So, the public market companies have not done particularly well, and that sort of cast a negative overhang on the ecosystem. And it is what it is. We're fairly confident that it's a cyclical thing, and so we need to run our business effectively to emerge a successful, sustainable business. And so, really, the way we think about our business at the end of the day is we have a mission: effective, user-centric publisher monetization wherever users consume content. We believe that that's the right way for simply a company to exist, which is like we think our mission is a good mission, and that people and brands and publishers and users like that mission. And so as long as we deliver valuable products, we'll be in a good situation. But we can't be reckless. So unlike a lot of VC-backed companies, and we are a VC-backed company, the VC market is not super hot for ad tech right now. So we need to be very thoughtful around our planning process, around our expenses, around our hires, and what delivers ROI and what does not, much more so than a standard VC-backed company that is really focused primarily on overall growth of their business. Like, how do we simply get the highest X metric that's going to get the next VC investor to invest in our business? One, that's not necessarily attractive if you're like, the media's kind of spun this notion of raising big rounds of funding as a positive, but if you're a company, that means you have investors that own your company, and they've just taken your stake, and they control a lot of the activities that you can do. And, like in Uber's case, they can fire the CEO. So we want to run a business that's a sustainable, profitable, thoughtful business that's also flexible around where the ecosystem is going. And so we spend an awful lot of time every year, of course, like building out really robust models around not just like the general lines of business, but within those lines of business, the different drivers of growth, the different like sub ways to think about, what's driving that line of business and the different margins that may be associated with the different pieces that are parts of that line of business. And then what are the people at the company that have different ROI effects on those current lines of business? And then what are the effects that they might have 18 and 24 months out? And there are assumptions always, but we try to base them on some sort of reality. And then we build fairly rigorous models that we believe are very explicit on what those assumptions are. And every single month we meet and we continually refine the plan for the year based on how we're attaining relative to the expectations for our plan. And so, if X line of business or Y line of business is under or overperforming, then we will change our hiring models or our investment in marketing or our investment in T&E accordingly based on, whatever's happening. So if we realize that investing in T&E is having an outsized impact on sales, then, we should continue to invest and increase our investment, and we should do it as quickly as we can. And so it takes a lot of vigilance to run a business like that, and it's a lot harder than kind of just running and assuming your business will eventually get funded again.
Got it. And how often did you guys say that, or did you say that you guys are looking at that? Did you say twice a year?
Oh, every month.
Okay, every month.
At least every month.
And that's you and your entire executive team, or who's involved in those conversations?
Yeah, that's the entire executive team.
Love it. And in doing that, it's forcing you guys to operate the company so that it is incredibly effective in a space where there are a lot of companies struggling. Are there any other that being a very tangible takeaway? I think just those monthly meetings that you're doing, assessing what's working, what's not working, and then adjusting your spend accordingly. Are there other things that you guys are doing that you feel like have allowed you guys to experience the success that you're experiencing now?
Yeah, I mean, I think something is it's being realistic. And so, a lot of companies operate with margins that are not sustainable, and they will, is it Wile E. Coyote or something, where they kind of run and then they run off the cliff and they realize there's no more cliff underneath them and they fall down. And that's happened. That happened to a lot of the ad tech companies that went public, which is one of the reasons that ad tech is suffering from the negative overhang that I mentioned, and that's because they didn't have a sense of propriety or just a reasonable outlook. And so you need to make a determination about your business, about what the ultimate right way to be running that business is, and have a path to be getting there. And if you don't, if you're not, there are things like margin and expenses and marketing expenses and T&E allocations that are the right things in our industry standards and the like. And if you're not hitting those, if you're an outlier and you're not being careful about it and you're not coming up with a plan to resume normalcy within the sort of bounds of the way you should be operating, your business will not be successful. And so it's okay to there's tolerances that you can deviate from. And even if you're too far out of the tolerance, you have to have a path to get back to where you need to get to. And so that's been really important for us.
Love it. I also want to touch on the fact, Eric, that not only are you guys, you guys are growing like crazy, but you're doing so while also, being one of the best places to work in New York City, which I think is a really impressive feat. What would you say have been the most critical things that you guys have done to maintain a culture that keeps people around and allows you guys to recruit great talent and then keep that talent working for you guys and loving working for you guys?
Yeah, I mean, I think we have a clear mission, which I've mentioned a few times, and we certainly make that abundantly obvious in the hiring process. We have values that we've clearly articulated. These are company values that are not like the customer's always right or whatever, but are behaviors. So we took this exercise, or did this exercise a few years ago, where we considered, TripleLift is in a complex, dynamic ecosystem, so we won't necessarily know exactly what we're going to do 5-10 years from now, but we'll have a vague sense of it. And so if we think about TripleLift as a success case and TripleLift as a failure case, what are the behaviors of the employees that led us to both of those outcomes? understanding that there are certain things outside of those that could also have contributed. But we really thought about it. We thought about the behaviors that were particular to our industry and to what we're trying to do to be successful, and we isolated those. And it was a long, difficult, contentious set of conversations with not just founders, but people that we thought were the highest performers in the business. And those became the base of our company values. And so every single hire is graded on company values and how they index against those company values. And so we hire people that are really good fits for what we're trying to do, that care about our mission, that live the TripleLift values, at least implicitly, if not explicitly once they join. And, we also try to make it a comfortable place to work. So once we've found these people that are the right people for us, it's the things that make people happy are, autonomy, accountability for what they do, ownership for their work, not necessarily like paying them the most. And a lot of studies show that the value that people get with their work and how much they appreciate it is only loosely at best correlated with their compensation, and more is with like their ownership, the trust, the responsibility. And so these are things that we really try to index highly on.
Eric, this has been really, really helpful. I appreciate you sharing your growth story, how you guys have gotten to where you are. If there's somebody listening to this, they want to stay connected with you, or they want to learn more about TripleLift, what's the best way for them to go about doing that?
You can follow me on Twitter, EZBarry, EZBarry. You can reach out on TripleLift.com. So I look forward to meeting anyone that might want to reach out.
Awesome, Eric. Well, thank you again so much for your time. This has been fantastic, so I really appreciate it.
Great. Thanks.
There are lots of ways to build a community, and we've chosen to build the B2B growth community through this podcast. But because of the way podcasts work, it's really hard to engage with our listeners. And without engagement, it's tough to build a great community. So here's what we've decided to do. We're organizing small dinners across the country with our listeners and guests. No sales pitches, no agenda, just great conversations with like-minded people. We'll talk business, we'll talk family, we'll talk goals and dreams. We'll build friendships. So if you'd like to be a part of a B2B growth dinner in a city near you, go to b2bgrowthdinners.com. That's b2bgrowthdinners.com. Thank you so much for listening. Until next time.